thank you guys for volunteering or being willing to be participants in this training session. My name, as you know, is Miranda Hines, and I'm going to be leading the training session today called Creating Effective Meetings. Before we get started, I want to go around the room real quick and just have you guys introduce yourselves to make sure you know one another. Just share your names, what area you work in, and tell one thing that you think either makes meetings efficient or inefficient. So let's start over here with Jason.
Jason Kinsley, desktop support. Good meeting is one that stays on track as far as time, designated amount of time, it doesn't run long.
My name is Terry Brown, and I work in circulation, and I like meetings who have equal participation, not sleepy.
I'm Carrie Cole. I work in the finance office. I think inefficient quality in meetings. Sometimes if you have conference calls, it can be a distraction if your calls aren't coming in clearly. So wires might get crossed and you might not get across what they want to say.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jolene Jones. I work in special projects, and I like agendas and meetings. That's very helpful.
I'm Tanya Reeves in document delivery. I like meetings that come up with solutions instead of planning future meetings to talk about solutions.
I'm Sherry Daniels. I work in the library one, and I prefer that successful meetings include a lot of preparation. Make sure that everybody's like the agenda thing, put it together. A lot of background preparation so that we can get right to business and get something done.
Those are all very good ideas, and actually we're going to touch on some of those in today's meeting. And also, I'm going to go over real quick before we get started. I want to share what the objectives are so that you kind of know what to expect, and share some ground rules for the meeting, and also what the agenda will be for today's training so you know what to expect. So first of all, the ground rules. I'm going to ask that you actively participate because I feel like we can learn more from one another if everyone is actually participating and providing feedback. The other thing that I want to ask is that we listen to understand, and that if you are expressing an opinion or sharing a story, that you explain your reasoning behind it so that others can learn from what you are sharing. The other thing I ask is that you respect others' views and that you just have fun, because as I mentioned before we started, I haven't had a whole lot of time to prepare for this, so it's not going to be polished, and we're just going to have fun with this and see what we can learn from one another. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about the ground rules or anything you want to add? No? Okay. Okay. So the objectives that we're going to cover today, the first one is going to be that you will learn how to identify the purpose of a meeting and how to know when a meeting would be helpful to hold. The second thing is you will learn how to plan, how to actually choose your key participants, and then how to plan and implement your agenda. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to evaluate and wrap up the meeting. So that's pretty much the objectives for that. As far as the agenda, we're basically going to talk about those objectives that I just described. And then we're going to break out into little small groups and have a little group activity for you guys to do, just to get a little hands-on practice with it. And we're going to have a small question and answer session, so you can ask questions or just share thoughts about the training with one another. And then we'll do a quick evaluation to wrap up. Any questions? Okay. Well, let's get started. It's going to be a little awkward because the clicker isn't working, so. Okay. Meetings are most productive when there's a clear purpose and an exchange of information. So, how do we know what the purpose of a meeting is and why do we need a purpose? Purposes clarify, of course, why we're meeting. But they also help us determine when we need to meet. They help us identify who our key participants are for that meeting. And they help us set our goals for the agenda. So what are some questions with that in mind that we could ask ourselves to help us identify what the purpose of a meeting would be? Like if you were planning a meeting, how would you identify what the purpose of that meeting is? What are some questions you might ask yourself?
What do I want the outcome to be?
Kind of deadlines, so I have approaching.
Deadlines?
Definitely time frame.
Okay. Okay, well, those are good, because you do want to think about your time frame and your deadlines and what you want the outcome to be. You might simply ask, what information is it that I have to share or gather? What's the purpose of holding the meeting? Just some real basic kinds of things that you want to ask. Do I have a clear purpose for holding this meeting, rather than just saying, okay, I think it's time for us to get together and we need to discuss what's been going on in the department.
Well, the mission
So-
of the group too, because whatever task we have to, whatever goal we're shooting for, it's got to fit within the guidelines. You said the key members of the group, why are we a group? There's usually a bigger reason behind why we're even there, so.
Exactly. Looking at the mission. Okay. So once you have identified your purpose, there's a few other things you can look at to help you decide when to meet. Of course, they need to have that clear purpose, and they need to focus on two-way communication. Because I'm sure we've all been in those meetings where someone gets up in front of the group and they just talk. And you're kind of thinking, why am I here? So two-way communication is a good thing in meetings. What are some examples, just to make sure everyone's clear on what two-way communication is, what are some examples of two-way communication? What types of activities might include that?
Maybe brainstorming type of activity.
Yes. Brainstorming, maybe problem solving, or planning and feedback kinds of activities. Those would be examples of some two-way communication. So with that in mind, let me ask you again, what kinds of questions can you ask to help yourself decide when you might hold a meeting?
When are the relevant players available, people that you need there? There's different departments, there's vacation schedules that take into account. You might have to do a meeting quicker than not because the people you need there won't be there.
And that's actually getting into the participants part. Yeah. But that's something that you will need to look at. Some of the examples that I had kind of jotted down was, can the information be shared or gathered in a way that would be more effective without calling a meeting? Is this something that can be accomplished in email? And this goes back to that two-way communication thing. Is it something that is a matter of just sharing information? Do you need to get a report from someone? What's the purpose of the meeting? So you might ask some questions about, what are the benefits of holding the face-to-face meeting that would justify actually calling a group together? So you're basically going to kind of think about, the purpose. Why is it that I need to call this meeting? What's the information or support that I need? And then ask yourself how that information can be communicated. And then decide if that's the most effective way to actually call a meeting to do it. Because a lot of things can be shared in other ways. So once you've identified your purpose and you've clarified that yes, this is worthwhile to hold a meeting, you're going to need to identify your key participants. Has anyone here ever been in a meeting